Hi, Mike here. Two things. First, for our cultural theory moment, RFK is asserting himself, his personality again. He came out with a report that said that a robust upbringing, having diseases rather than getting vaccinated for them, and good diet, good exercise, all this is good for kids. He wants to have a study on the adverse effects of vaccines. Maybe a few, but autism's not one of them. And there probably aren't any, injection site reaction. You get a bruise. But yeah, they're very safe, I know people with autism who they got it from their parents, not from their vaccines. If the parent has ADHD and autism, the child has a chance of it. And if the child has it, good chance one of the parents has it. So that is my experience. And yes. And the only cure is eugenics, and no, not at least not from a government mandate perspective. And to say anything about the other side of it, but yeah, that is an example of somebody who is responsible for values and making sure reason is out there, sticking to the values and not the reason. Not the overwhelming reason of the group, which is the evidence is clear. And, people who have deep feelings don't sometimes like the evidence. So he's got a following that agrees with him, and it's a moral stance for him and for some other people that naturally just don't trust scientists. So, which means he probably shouldn't have a job leading scientists. So, but he's allowed to. That's the way the law is written. The secretary of HHS is assumed to have the ability to make the decisions that follow the science. This one does not. He follows the values and the values too. It's department. Any political office has values components. You can't not have either one. You have some of both, unless you're really, really, really antisocial. So it's just a matter of convincing them of what causes autism, I guess. A good study on autism, study it as much as you can. Yeah, I'm for studying autism. I give money to it sometimes. So that's, you should study autism, not study what he thinks causes autism. That's, doing that is not science. Doing the latter is not science. Doing the former is. Find out what causes autism. Put a lot of money on it, which means don't cut NIH's budget. Increase it from what it has and from new stuff. Also talk about linguistic autism. That's where people withdraw when they have a different language, because it probably has a link. Anybody who's lived with an ESL speaker knows that they have such symptoms, not because of their brains, but because it's interactive, it's social. There's such a language is a common thing, so it's we learn it socially. We don't learn it on our own. So if you don't have it socially, it's a form of autism if it makes you uncomfortable. So yeah, for all means, study autism. If you went down that path, nobody would be making brainworm jokes. So that's that. Item 2 in this week, or today's news. We took a shot at ET. If you're watching the news, there's some kind of globular drone skimming the surface of the ocean, and somebody fired a Reaper on it, and they hit. So that's nice. We can hit ET with a Reaper drone. It hit it, and the Reaper blew up, and the alien drone or the UAB, righted itself. It twisted a little. Didn't seem to be harmed. Hopefully that's not a cause for interstellar war. It's like, I don't know, what will we do if we sent a probe someplace and somebody shot it out of the sky? You know, we've at least said we're dangerous now. Great. This is not good news. You know, the preppers were right, but only because we shot an alien drone or an alien spacecraft with people in it, or with you know, actual whatever you call, you know, astronaut, cosmonaut, cryonaut, you know. We might have, you know, picked a war with a civilization that can take a hit from a Reaper drone and keep flying. Yeah, that was smart. Do not fire on enemy probes. I mean, I guess they wanted to test if it really was a superior thing. It is. It went on. And no other country has this capability. And unless they were testing, you know, their own technology. And it was their, you know, some agency of the government that has these globular drones that are self-propelled without rockets. You know, didn't sound like that to me. So, yeah, I mean, if that was an American craft, why are we wasting money on NASA when we could just use those craft to lift space stations and go to Mars in like a day or 5 days? It's a 5-day trip to Mars if you use constant boost acceleration. So, which is what, you know, a drone does, you know, or the unidentified aerial objects, or aerial, whatever they're called. Yeah, unidentified aerial bodies, UABs. You know, if that's our technology, then yeah, let's just send one of them to Mars, and you know, and the moon, and you know, make it big enough for people to go in it, or you know, make it serve as engines for a spacecraft. You know, so, but you know, unless it's a U.S. technology or an Pakistani technology, because I know some Pakistanis who've seen the drawings of how to make an anti-grav thing. You know, maybe Pakistani. So I read the drawings. So you know, if this is Pakistani technology, then guess what? What I gave to my friend's father-in-law works. But I think it's probably alien technology or extraterrestrial technology, ET. So yeah, we took a shot at another civilization's hardware with a Reaper drone, which a Reaper drone, by the way, is a drone with counter-rotating propellers that are sharp, that are essentially designed to turn what it hits into mincemeat. That's how we got al-Zawahiri. You know, we basically hit him personally in the flesh with that bone, with one of those Reaper drones, and it turned him into a hamburger. And they knew it was him, and there was nothing left of the body. You know, it's a gross way to kill somebody. You know, as an anti-personnel device, it's a quick way to go. By the time it hits you, you don't know you're dead. But it's grotesque. So, yeah. And we hit AT with one of those. We tried to slice ET to pieces. Yeah, okay. Oops. Ouch. Not a good idea. Somebody in the Navy thought it was a good idea because it was overseas. You know, and they know that these things are probably ET. Why did they do that? I don't know. I don't have the full story, but it's just a stupid thing to do. So do not send drones after alien aircraft. At least we know how fast we need to go to hit it. As fast as a rocket, not as fast as an aircraft. So, yeah. The military doesn't like to be outclassed. They need to be humble about this and not fire at the aliens. Yeah. You know, we can intercept, but we can't outrun. If we can't outrun, we're dead if they decide that, oh, they shot at us? We'll shoot at them. See how they like it. See if they blow up. I think they already know we would blow up. Yeah, let's not shoot at the aliens. Do not attack more advanced civilizations with your hardware. It shows, one, you don't have the, especially when you hit and it doesn't do anything, that you're an inferior civilization. And two, it shows you're socially inferior because you're willing to take offensive action against another species. That means we're not able to have galactic concord. We are too busy trying to hit things and beat them, and including each other, and have enmity in our hearts. And it's not warp speed that makes us a species capable of being part of any larger civilization. It's the fact that we don't do things like that. If we don't do things like that, they will let us talk to us, and they will talk to us, we will talk to them, and we will learn so much. We will be able to access actual intergalactic travel without having to make it ourselves. You know how much smarter that is? We just have to be socially coherent. We have to get our authenticity together. To take it back to cultural theory, we need to use our reason, and we need to just, change our intuition about how we deal with the problem of evil. First, recognizing that we created it. God did not make evil. He allows us freedom, and in our freedom, we invented the fact that evil exists in the world, as opposed to saying, "Okay, this happened. It happened. It was sad. It can be. We can go against danger, and maybe, hitting an alien drone with our drone is a danger response, but generally, we have fear and loathing as part of the deal, and if we don't, until we get control of that and quit blaming other people for their evil acts, then euthanasia may be on our fate. That's always the big thing. Will they euthanize us because we're dangerous? Not because we're evil, but because we believe in evil, or believe that evil is something that we didn't just create. That's the whole idea of free will, is that there's evil. Free will's not necessary if there's no evil, right? There's just danger. So our insistence on original sin and the existence of evil is what keeps us uncivilizable, primitive. And we've got to stop doing that, which means, and the churches can't help us. They're the ones who create the problem. So, yeah. It's a conundrum. Hopefully we'll solve it. And hopefully we haven't killed ourselves by attacking the aliens. So, and that is our social minute for the day.